My Gavan and Melanine, and well met indeed. I am Arikir Galadirthin, the head of the modding team behind Divide and Conquer. Welcome back to our ongoing progress reports from version 2. Today there's a fair old bit to get through, and I intend to cut down on the video's length by recording snippets. So you won't see me loading anywhere, basically, which I think is a much better way to do it. So we've got a fair few units to cover, and we have a fair few aspects of the campaign map to cover. And we will go through each. Questions is always a welcome, and as ever I have popped in the description a breakdown of what is being discussed and at what time it comes into the video. So I don't think there's any more ado-ing. We can get straight to it. So a very minor one to begin with, but I like starting at this starting screen. I don't know why. But that is courtesy of the Elite Dwarf. We've got a few new portraits. So the Vale of Dorwinion now has more regent-like leader portrait there in Vine Regent Howen. The old Dorwinion picture has been moved across to Enedwaith, where Moot Lord Tremac now has the more bedraggled look. Additionally, there is a new portrait for the leader of Eredluin. Clan Lord Gore is no longer a kind of edited version of one of the hobbits from, one of the dwarves from The Hobbit. He now stands alone. He is unique. And finally, if I'm not mistaken, a Haven of Umbar, playing even more on their Dark Numenorian aspect. One of the most famous images that floats around the web at the moment of a Dark Numenorian has been given as their portrait for their leader. So a few new portraits to begin with. Now, I will go forward, and I will go forward. I'm just all over the place. We will deal with the campaign map side first, and then on to the battle map. So, over to the campaign map with aspect number 1, Tolfalas. Alrighty, welcome to the campaign changes. Now I can actually do all of these just with Umbar, so that is where we are going to start. But so to begin with, I will start you off with Gobel Tolfalas. Now, there's a little bit of a backstory to this. Numenas up here is getting a brand new battle map, which is actually ready, but not, but it's going to feature in the next developer diary, whenever that is. So I can't show you that today, but what I can say is that the old Numenas battle map, which basically does look exactly like that, I will show the Numenas battle map in the next one. So the next developer diary will have a fair few city battle maps in it, but I won't show it in this one. But namely just that Numenas battle map is going to go. It's going to change, it's going to be different. So the CSM here will be different and everything, and the battle map is going to be lost. And RK suggested, he's the gentleman who's doing all of the settlements for us, he's part of our team, and he suggested that'd be a shame to lose it. And the only place that we could think that was fitting was Gobel Tolfalas. So this is subject to some change, because I've asked the Elite Dwarf to bring it in a little bit more so that it lines up with the shore of Gobel Tolfalas. But it was a massive shame to lose this settlement. So the way that this is going to work is Gobel Tolfalas will remain a village. That's not going to change. So as soon as it is upgraded, it will lose this unique battle map and unique campaign strategy model. The battle map is ruined, so it's a village because you don't need any siege equipment, and the battle map lies completely in ruins. And it fits quite nicely with Gobel Tolfalas, for this place was ruined, was heavily afflicted by the downfall of Beleriand, and indeed the downfall of Numenor. Both events sent troubles. Of course, Beleriand created much of the sea that is here now, and then when Numenor fell as well, the island was again subject to terrible flooding. And so Gondor, it's reflecting, it's a bit of a stretch, but Gondor is reflecting that they've never really rebuilt it. So you get a ruined battle map. And as I say, you'll see the battle map in the next developer diary. So Gobel Tolfalas is going to be unique at the game start, and I think it does actually work quite well. It took some getting used to for my mind, but then now that I think about it, it is quite good. And when it lines up with the shore properly, it'll be even better. So, Gobel Tolfalas is a unique campaign strategy model and battle map. Now, if we move on then, speaking of campaign strategy models, the Elite Dwarf has once again outdone himself, and Umbar rises with their own unique visuals. And these are for all of their settlements. Barring Village and Motten Bailey, everything else has been affected. So if we move over to Imlad Khan, and we can start with the new Umbarim towns. Now, owing to Umbar in the recent its recent past is very much Gondorian, so it's an attempt to reflect its mingling between Harad and Gondor, and I think it works very well. So as you can see, there is stone, and there are stone buildings throughout the settlement, but primarily it's wooden. And the more common structure is actually the Haradrim town's structures knocked in there. So that's the town. And then we move on to the large town. Now the large town, the main difference obviously is there's more buildings within the town itself, and the wall now has a stone base. The towers on the corners of the walls are also far larger. So these towers on the corners here, they have increased in size, and the base of the wall now has a stone foundation. There's more buildings inside as well. And then we come on to a city, where once again, as you can see, the central structure is growing in size, more buildings within the walls, and the walls are now completely stone with the addition of more towers around the edges, giving it a far more fortified feel, and it really denotes that you've gone from town and large town to a city. So it's very, very good. And then finally, we have the large city. Now the biggest difference here is the Colosseum, which immediately draws the eye. There are domes now on all of the towers, and there's a kind of fort structure at the back protecting the back of the city. And it is a very nice progression. Now, something that is going to be added that Elite Dwarf hasn't had the time with, and I can show you in the next developer diary, is we're going to play around, or I say we, I don't even know how to do it. He's going to play around with adding some of these Haradrim style tents to the outside of the city walls to reflect that the Umbarim, going with the Umbarim that we've got in Divide and Conquer, they look down on the Haradrim. That's the way that we've gone. We're going with the Dark Numenorian feel, and it's suggesting that the Numenorians feel they are better than the Haradrim, so they make them live outside the walls, and that's going to be reflected in the models. But that is not all, because there is also the capital city. Umbar itself has been given a custom model. Now, you will only ever see this at Umbar. There is not a custom battle map for this. We hope to take DCI Last Alliance's custom Umbar battle map, but they won't release anything until their mod is released, which, as I've mentioned before, totally understandable. But when they do, hopefully we can take their Umbar as well. And it looks basically like that. Elite Dwarf did base this model on their custom battle map. So there's a large port area on the battle map, and but otherwise it's just a sort of standard huge city. Again, the Colosseum drawing your eye. The Colosseum will feature as a new building line soon for certain factions. But castles have also been upgraded. So this is the castle. Now, there aren't any keeps because nobody can build keeps. Keeps are set at the beginning of the game, and that is every keep that you'll ever see. So certain factions don't have custom keeps because you'll never see them. Umbar are one such faction. So their keep is not in the line, but a castle is where you'll first get your architecture. So again, it's got the stone foundations, larger stone towers, and a large central citadel structure. Now, forgive me, I've not yet boosted Ardamir, but it'll only take about 2 seconds, so I can do this just as I ramble on. Almost take as long to do it as... No, that didn't make sense, did it? Process. This is actually quite a better way to do it because you see the visual change. So let's line that up in the middle there quite nicely. Process CQR, and boom, it jumps to a stronghold. So clearly drawing the eye from Khaldun, you can see that the wooden walls become stone walls. Certain towers gain capped roofs, and the large central citadel now covers the entire northern side of the castle. So the stronghold, again, is clearly identified from the castle in the architecture designs, and it's a jump up. You can see a visual boost. And they look really good. They do look really good. Umbar is another faction I like quite a lot, and with these additional CSMs, I just think they'd be awesome to play as. But that is certainly not all. Let us head up to Kirikgathol, where you will see the Elite Dwarf has also made a minor amendment to this one in that the gate now has some foundations around it, so it just looks a little tidier, looks a little bit nicer. But the chief reason that we are heading up here is for the mines, so I suppose we need somewhere that's already built mines. Who has pre-built mines? Khaldun, you have pre-built mines, don't you? Nope. Should have done the research beforehand, we're just scanning around the map. Does no one have mines pre-built? This is outrageous. They have a new model for the mining resource. So once you've built a mine, the CSM for the mine is new, has been edited by the Elite Dwarf, and now looks slightly different. Oh my word, I can't believe nowhere has mines at game start. Do we own any of these regions? No. Can you build mines? No. No, you cannot. Alright, how are we going to go about getting mines? Imlad Karnan. Where's my army that's got a load of trebuchets? Alright, bear with me. I'll join you again in just a moment. Hang on a spiffing second. There we go. A has mines. Process. CQA. Boom. There we are. Right, so there's a new mine CSM. Now, you will note that the ore is no longer visible at all, so it's just the mine to draw the eye. It's no longer bright, sort of yellowy wood colour. It's a darker one, which fits more with the theme, which fits better with the newer resources the Elite Dwarf has made. And it is slightly smaller. That's the main difference. It's no longer huge. Now, it still has to be reasonably big so that you can immediately tell, oh, someone's built mines here, I want to go and take it, and that you're not confusing it with a watchtower. But it's just been edited a little, so there is that. There's a couple of new UIs as well. I can only show you Umbars in certain ones, but the armory structure. This is the one that denotes whether or not you're going to get garrison troops. As written here, provides a garrison when assaulted. There are 2 tiers of this. And courtesy of Lord of Links, one of our beta testers, all of these now have UI. So there aren't any more. That's just, they're just done. So you'll come across those in your various factions, and you should know immediately what they are when you do see them. But further to this, the evil men have received new Temple of Melkor custom Temple of Melkor user interface images, UII, and this is the 3rd tier. This is the Dark Temple of Melkor. You're going to ask me, Galu, what on earth is this based on? Well, the Númenóreans, when they worshipped Melkor, when they were brought over to the worship of Melkor by Sauron, they built a grand temple in Númenor, I believe in their capital city, and it was said to have had a large silver domed roof with a central hole that allowed smoke to get out because they were quite fond of human sacrifice. And so that is exactly what this is. So as you can see, it is entirely taken from the sort of Islamic-inspired mosque buildings, again from Anno 1404 actually. But it's been twisted. So the silver dome on the roof now, there's red colouring rather than jade colouring, and on the 3rd tier there's these fire pits and towers at the back. But if we go through the shrines all together, then that is what it looks like at the beginning. Just a large domed building. The 2nd tier gets some of the lower foundation, well, delves deeper into the ground and is extended slightly above the ground. And then finally, of course, the tier that you can see built here gains the towers and the fire pits outside. Lord of Links came up with, or Lord of Links found the base UIs, and then I amended it to have the silver roofing and the smoke and fire pits. So there's a new UI for you. That's finally come in, because it did not fit at all, the older temple, the Orc temple. Didn't fit for Umbar, Harad, Khand and Rune. So a new one has come in, and those 4 nations will all have that Islamic-inspired temple. Or mosque-inspired temple. Well, that's the same thing, really, isn't it? You don't get mosques outside of Islam. They have different names. Righty-ho, then. So, the fort units have now completely been cut. You will have noted that there is no longer a fort building here, despite this being a region with forts. The fort building and the fort units are no longer in the game. The Imladris City Riders, I mentioned this ages ago, they've only actually just been cut. So the Imladris Cavalry, they are gone. Glorfindel will now use the Eldarin Way Lancers when he joins Imladris. Someone else has been cut as well. Rebel Trolls. Yeah, we managed to save a unit space because, unbeknownst to all of us, I don't know how it slipped through the net, there was a troll unit that you can find dotted around this region that will try and ambush you. And it was its own entry in the unit list, which is just mad. An absolute waste of a slot. But 3rd Age Total War didn't have to worry about unit slots, so they could easily do that. But it was a stupid thing, so we've swapped it out for the Misty Mountains Troll. Nice and simple. Right, so then we come on to Rebels. I spoke about this briefly in yesterday's video. The independent realms did not need to be made. There was a way around it that I have after hours of adding the independent realms, I then discovered that by changing 3 lines in various different files, I could achieve the same goal. So what is happening now is that on the 35th turn, the rebels will turn on. They will become active. Any rebel that you will see dotted around the world will then begin to attack. Now, because the rebels are one massive nation and they're at war with everyone, they aren't very bloodthirsty. Do keep that in mind. They will only attack if the favour is heavily with them. If they outnumber you, say 4 to 1, it's that kind of thing. But they will start to pick off various undefended towns if you're not careful. Now, by the 35th turn, most of the rebel regions will have been claimed, so the provinces won't really fight back very much. But what this does mean is that if anybody rebels, if any nation is destroyed, if any nation loses a general through bad loyalty, which I don't actually think can happen in Third Age Total War. But anyway, those are the 2 reasons. If a nation is destroyed either by regicide or the towns are taken but some generals are still alive, those remaining forces will fight on. They will try and find you and kill you. They'll attack towns nearby, all manner of things. However, the independent realms do live on in a different kind of way, in that I've taken their name, because Middle-earth doesn't really have any bandits or rebels, and independent realms sounded like a much better name, so that is actually now their name. So any rebel town is now called an independent town, an independent army, an independent general. Their faction is now called the Independent Realms. So there's a minor naming change, that's all. But it does mean that after 35 turns, do make note of that, the rebels will attack you. No longer can you let a 20-strong banner army just roam around your region and be absolutely fine, because you know they're not going to do anything. They will now eventually attack you. And I have tested this. I destroyed Isengard. I was playing as Rohan. And I was moving through to take Bregnas. I can't remember why. And I moved an army through the Ginyard region. And Lurtz, he had an army about this big. And he just came over and attacked me. And he annihilated my army, which pushed them back into Ginyard. And then in the next turn, he besieged Ginyard. And he did that all while he was a rebel, which the rebels never used to do. So they will now actually do stuff, which is brilliant. This will mean that the Barrowites will be far more active. If they were already active in your game, then brilliant. But in most people's games, they weren't. But they will now be active. And of course, the Last Stand script, when that kicks in, it will now be a problem for you. You will actually have to deal with that 20-strong army of very strong units. So that's all very good news indeed. There's a great overhaul for traits and ancillaries on the way. But I can't talk too much about that yet because we haven't done any of the work, only hashed out some of the thinking. So traits and ancillaries are being looked at. But finally, the invasions. We won't remove invasions from the main game, but I will look to remove invasions from the Total War submod, whereby no one starts as allies or enemies. Everybody is neutral to everybody, and you just go do that whatever the hell you like. In that submod, I will try and turn off the invasions. However, in the normal game, I won't. But what I have done is I've made it now that the first invasion target is now totally random. I've managed to succeed in this. I won't go into the detail of how it's done because that would just bore you. But do just note that the invasion target is now completely random. I've had feedback from, I think, about 6-7 of our testers, and in every single one of their games, the first target was different. So that is very, very good news indeed. Now, it will still target major cities. For example, someone did have Caras Gallathon, someone had Dane's Halls because it had already been taken, somebody had Erebor, somebody had Dale. Like, it's still going to go for the major cities, but it's not going to be the same one every single time. So that's excellent news. So that's the campaign side of it done. I will now head over to the battle map where we will start. Or hopefully we can do every unit to show off today in one battle. So I shall see you there. Welcome then to the battle map side. It's been ages since I've done an overview. Right, now this first unit is going to really split the mentality of some people. These are Shield Maidens of Rohan. A unit that has been added. They are, as they say, women.
We ride together. We will show our valor.
Which is no real problem. And they are available for Rohan. They're quite an elite unit. They're very, 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 very rare. And they're basically a better, one of Rohan's best Javelin-style units. They inspire nearby troops, which is a nice bonus. They're skilled against other cavalry, and they're effective against armour, but they throw javelins as well. But they do require, as it shows there, a native province. And this is again another sort of what-if scenario. We know that Eowyn was desperate to go into battle and she pretended to be a man in order to do so. Assuming, therefore, let's say then that let us assume that Eowyn manages to sway the king, there would be some other women who would wish to fight alongside men for the freedom of their very country, and that is represented by the Shield Maidens. So, there you are. Shield Maidens of Rohan. That's the first unit to show off. Now, that's the only new unit, I believe, of everything I'm about to show you. Anything else is just a skin change. So, coming over here to... Oh, I'll tell you what we need to do is start the battle. And then, actually, if I bring that back... No, not that one. Bring that one back. Let's turn it right down to a 0.1. So we keep the sound. We just lose everything. Alright, so then we come to Enedwaith. This unit here are the new Hunters Guildmen. They used to look quite ornate, which didn't really fit, given that they were one of Enedwaith's worst units. And so that has now been amended. And they now have this kind of dirty, rugged look. Where they're just wearing basic woolen clothing, and some of them have got sort of wooden crowns on them with their hats, but otherwise they're just dirty, really. Additionally, the Foresters of Haleth, the bodyguard unit the elite archer unit for Enedwaith, they have lost their fox mask because it looked a bit off, it looked a bit wrong. I agree with Hummingbird on that one, and instead they now have the River Elder top, so helmet and faces similar to the River Elders. If you remember the fox mask, you remember what it used to look like. And a unit that I've spoken of but not really shown yet are the War Chanters. Now this is a unit that for a long time was called Skalds. S-K-A-L-D-S. And they are one of the few units in the game now that have the ability to chant to boost the morale of nearby units. They're very small in number, but they do a lot of damage if they are ever thrown into melee. A 10 attack and a 17 defense with a 5 charge. They inspire nearby troops themselves, they frighten enemy infantry as you'd expect, and they can chant to boost your army's morale. And those are the War Chanters. Who I believe, I can't remember if they settled upon it. No, they didn't. They were going to be women, but because the chanting noise can't be changed, they would have spoken like women, and then when they started chanting, they would have sounded like men, so we kept them as men to do away with that. Right, and then we come to what I think covers the rest of the units, and that is the Black Goldfish. Some of you would have seen his submod on Total War Center, and he is a very, very talented unit creator, modeler, and texturer. And Hummingbird has jumped at the chance to take on some of his models. So the first to show you are the new Lindar Mariners. This unit used to be a little basic, but my word, do they look good now in battle. Oh no, yeah, you really are right. Good lord. They look phenomenal. Well done to Goldfish and indeed for Hummingbird for getting them in from him. So they've just got a nice leather-inspired look now. And they do look really good, don't they? Very nice indeed. Very nice upgrade. So those are the Lindar Mariners. They are a Linden unit that's existed for a very long time, so you'll all know of them, but they've just got a little bit of a visual change. So let's scoot around before anyone fights anybody. Then we come to Ered Luin, another unit that has received the benefit of Black Goldfish's work, and this time it is the Shields, mostly. Represented here by the Nogrod swords. They've got a new Hobbit movie / Ered Luin inspired shield, and it looks damn good. So they've got a much nicer boosted shield there. So that's a little touch for Ered Luin. A nice new shield. Now we come over to Dorwinion. Now this unit I've shown because I don't think I've yet shown them, but this is the bodyguard of Dorwinion. They are now two-handed foot swordmen. And otherwise they look identical to what they used to look like before, they just now have two-handed swords. Proper claymores as well, where they actually hold their hands in the right place and attack with the proper part of the blade. A lot of two-handed swordmen hold the sword itself, which I don't think they would do. Now I think I've shown these before, but if not, these are the Avari Shadows, the ranger unit that you get if you side with the Avari Elves. And they've also had a roughening up, if you will. They've been given a more rough and ready look. And there they are in their glory. But a unit that has recently been changed, as in today, I believe, or yesterday evening. I'm recording this on a Saturday. are the Avari Elders. They have been adjusted and amended, again by Black Goldfish. And you can see now that they just look a lot better. Beforehand they were a little... I don't know, meh is probably the best word to sum them up. They were obviously elites, but there was something about their armour and them that I'd never really thought fit all that well. But now I think they do look very nice indeed. There's an awful lot of detail on their armour that you can't really see, unfortunately, because the game just can't display it well enough. Yeah, but there we are. So those are the Avari. And then we come to a unit that Hummingbird was absolutely blown away by, and the final unit of today's showcase, the Castellans of Dol Guldur. I've not actually seen these yet, so your reaction and my reaction will be together as one. Oh yeah, they do look an awful lot more fearsome, don't they? This mask is outrageous. It's like you can't even really tell what it is. How off-putting is that? No, they do look very nice indeed. So the Castellans have been given a far more sort of gruesome appearance. Which is ideal because I believe... Oh, I can't remember what we've gone for with their backstory. Whether or not we've got them as Wraiths or whether or not we've got them as Easterlings in Dol Guldurian armour. But they've been given this new look courtesy again of Black Goldfish. So there's quite a few new unit designs knocking around. But the only new unit that has been added for some time, but I didn't show in the last showcase because, as has been pointed out to me, I forgot, are the Shield Maidens of Rohan. But that, I believe, concludes. That is everything for today's showcase. So all the changes to the campaign side, all the changes to the battle map side. So the next developer diary will focus quite heavily on city battle maps. Featured in this will be the Gobel Tolfalas battle map, the current Fornos battle map, and the new Anuminas battle map. Also note, hopefully by that time, RK is also working on bringing back the famous Kaya Andros battle map that you'll all know from Third Age Total War, that everyone always asks us why was it removed. So Kaya Andros is also going to be coming back. RK, I believe, has found a way to fix it, to make it work as intended. So we're going to bring it back because it is a cracking map. These unit is really fast, my word. One other thing to mention, which is only a minor thing, but you will notice it in your games going forward. Hummingbird has addressed the charge distance of most units, and he's balanced it depending more sort of on the unit's skill and how much they're wearing, rather, or indeed, and their bloodthirstiness. So certain units now charge from a much shorter distance. Now, if this is something you're not really aware of, a unit needs to be a certain distance away from another unit in order to get the charge bonus. For most units on foot, this was about a charge distance of about 10 meters, I think. And in that distance, they'd get up to full charge. But Hummingbird has addressed this and changed it, and it's now uniform across the board, which is brilliant. You'll also now note that very heavy cavalry, such as one of my personal favourites, the Knights of the Silver Swan, they now have a huge charge distance. So in order to get the Knights of the Silver Swan, right up to charging speed, you've got to give them more distance. A final point to note. But for now, that'll be all. So thank you very much for watching, if indeed you have. Do let me know your thoughts on everything I've shown today. And until we speak again, dear friends, Navar Naden Perimad Melonin, and farewell.